Hello, I'm Anna, and I've come here today to talk about living between languages. And it's a story of belonging or not to two separate cultures. I'm going to talk about what it's like to grow up between two cultures, being not a visitor, but rather a native to both. My parents talk about myself as a tiny toddler watching public television, clapping along to Sesame Street, to the ABC song. And then, not too long after, still a toddler, being in Rio trying to figure out what to do with that information, where to stow it away to make room for new sounds associated with the very same letters. So, my life has been like this, filled with richness and some contradiction. There's been insight, but also not without some confusion along the way. I'm a native speaker of both English and Portuguese. And I've found that language isn't just a tool for communication, it's also associated with how I think and how I feel about things, and even what I notice in the world around me. I've often felt like I developed different identities almost, one for each of the languages that I speak. The flow of my speech is different. The tone, the timbre, the pitch of my voice is different. Even the way I move changes according to the language uh, being spoken. But even so, there remains one question of where is home? I was born in the United States, moved to Rio, and spent most of my early childhood years there. Then I moved back and forth between the two countries during my teens and my adult life. So, where is home for me? Well, there's a saying that home isn't a place, but a set of emotional coordinates. That tracks for me. I've come to imagine home as less about the geography and more about the memory and the people within it. There is one major setback in my experience, which is never being fully one thing. In other words, being a hybrid of sorts. You're neither one thing or the other. On the other hand, there's a beauty in being a hybrid. It teaches me to listen, to adapt, to live in nuance, and to listen in for the deeper aspects that exist in communicating and connecting with people. Throughout the years, I've found the capacity to become my own existential home and to find comfort within myself. I've also found some solace in the work that I do as a translator and interpreter because I revel in becoming a vehicle for someone's voice to be heard through mine in circumstances where their voice might have been unheard otherwise. I recently read an article in the New York Times titled The Beauty of Being Bilingual. It talks about how those of us who've served as interpreters, either professionally or in the context of our own immigrant families, we know that it's a bittersweet privilege. There are deeper truths in between the spaces of language, and we know that we may never find the right words to express them. So, interpreting for me ends up being a way of shedding light into some of those dark spaces, even with the imperfection that's intrinsic to the nature of all of communication. My recent move back to Brazil has been interesting. I'm rediscovering things like small codes of interaction, the bureaucracy, the sense of rhythm in life, some things about living in Brazil that I've left behind and I'm returning to them now. It's a strange thing to feel slightly unique in a place that's, well, technically yours too. So, what does it mean to belong? Well, I'm still figuring that out. Maybe belonging is about honoring complexity, about acknowledging diversity, and striving for inclusion. I don't have a neat ending here, just want to share the notion that identity is less of a fixed construct for me and more like a river. I envision it through movement, constantly reshaping the edges of the land around it, and then perennially being reshaped in turn by it too.